Hey, this is Jim with another NDI November System Integrator Spotlight. This time I invited my friend Brad with the 1210 Production Company to talk about NDI products, technology, installations, and some of the interesting things happen at the 1210 Production Company. Hey, Brad, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us again.
Always a pleasure to have you. I love it when I have an opportunity to talk to system integrators like yourself that are out there implementing this technology and the products using the technology for your clients, helping to address some of the different challenges that come up along the way. Before we get into some of the interesting stuff that you're doing with NDI technology today, why don't you introduce yourself and the 1210 Production Company to our audience?
Yes, thanks for having me again. I am the owner and founder of 1210 Production Company. We're a systems integration company based out of Williamstown, New Jersey. That's about a half hour to the east of Philadelphia. And we specialize in high school, college, and professional athletic venues to either do their broadcast to a YouTube or a ESPN Plus, or also the production for their LED screen. So we have a wide range of clients, anywhere from a football stadium that may get upwards of 500 to 750 people a night to some larger venues that are going to get 50, 60,000 people. So the nice thing about NDI is that it's really making it a level playing field for both the small customer and the large customer can utilize the same technology. And a lot of it is becoming a lot more user friendly, and happy to share some tips and information on today's session.
That's awesome. Now, Brad, you talked about having the content going to the LED screens within the stadiums, and then you also talked about the broadcast to ESPN and other broadcast affiliates. Sometimes these overlap and can be quite a lot of the same content, but other times there are unique content that's being driven to each of these delivery methods, right?
A lot of the budget sensitive customers will send the exact same program feed to their streaming platform as well as the LED screen. It's the most simple way to do it.
Okay.
What we're beginning to see with a signal share such as NDI is that the same camera can be sent to multiple destinations over a client's computer network, which is allowing a unique broadcast to happen for the LED screen and a unique broadcast to happen for the web stream. And ultimately, the camera angle is the same. A lot of times, this is being done with PTZ cameras or more of a security style camera, and that's allowing the producer to not only have control of that camera and not have to talk to a camera operator, but can pick and choose what camera angle they want to use at any one time.
And I would imagine that's where the advantages come in of working with a system integrator like yourself. 1210 Production Company is really going to help your clients in each of these aspects, designing the system, getting it installed. But you guys do a lot more than that as well, right?
We do. And the question and answer portion, I think, is really what we try to pinpoint on as we begin to talk to a client and learn their project needs, is to really understand what they are expecting the system to do, so that, heaven forbid, we get to the last day of the project and we think we did a great job, and then the client comes in and says, oh, we need the system to do X, Y, and Z. And that means that they have to buy an entirely new control room from us. So we want a control room designed not only for today, but for tomorrow and 5 years from now, because as technology continues to grow, in a lot of places it's coming down in cost, but it's still expensive for a lot of people to utilize. And one of the nice things about NDI is that as long as it's on the same computer network, you can share every camera source and every program feed to every other source that has NDI technology with it. And it's really making it very universal for high schools, colleges, the educational venue, even grade schools are being able to utilize the NDI technology, because most school districts have an investment in IT, and most of that IT is based in computers, not necessarily video production. So now we're relying on the IT infrastructure more so than a video infrastructure. And schools are being able to capitalize on best of both worlds.
And I think when you take advantage of the network and the NDI technology, it probably also allows you to work with your customers to create an entry into the production that they need today, but then go back as budget continues to grow, sponsors come in and help them out, and identify areas to really upgrade and scale their productions using NDI as well, right?
The biggest spotlight that we've been able to see our clients do is invest in one central control room and put in something like a Viz TriCaster or another type of switcher that has NDI capabilities, and they invest in one control room. And then they look to add in different locations that they can now control out of that one control room. So instead of pulling 48 strands of fiber somewhere, now as long as it's on the same computer network and VLAN, now they're able to control everything with one Cat6 cable and an encoder. So the infrastructure of expansion has been the biggest, I think, benefit for a lot of our clients, that once they have the base, they can start branching out into other venues and still utilize same equipment. And most importantly, not have to drag a trailer everywhere to
Sure.
set everything up and down.
Absolutely. And while it's great to talk about all of these different projects and what can be done for one client versus another, one of the things that I enjoy when I have an integrator like yourself on the show with us is to ask you about a specific project that you've been involved in recently where that NDI products and technology really helped in the installation. And Brad, I know you brought one to us today. Can you tell us a little bit about the Yale Athletics?
Certainly, Yale Athletics is our top NDI client across the country. They have utilized NDI the best. This is a picture of their control room, which is you hate to say it, a small closet somewhere because space is always limited, but we were able to put in a 4 foot by 8 foot desk and have a TriCaster and a replay on there, and kind of branched out the technology from there. Now, this room is centrally located in between their field hockey complex and their softball complex. And we did this room initially as a field hockey project, and then it worked so well and they saw the location of everything that they said, oh, can we add softball control into here? So they're now having two sports being controlled out of the exact same control room. And obviously field hockey and softball are different calendar years, so they can maximize that equipment as opposed to only doing a handful of games for each sport. They doubled their workload out of that production. And softball, everything was cabled back to the central press box for softball, and then 2 strands of fiber over a NDI switch, and they did all of their games out of that control room last year.
So this is a perfect illustration of what you were just talking about a moment ago, where by setting up the centralized control system with the production platforms that we're looking at here, you're able to scale a project that started with one sport, with field hockey, and now bring it to the other sports as well. And a lot of times that's what happens, especially in the school environments. There might be one coach or athletic director with a great idea or an investment in the technology. And then, of course, the other teams, the other athletes, the other coaches are all going to see that and learn how they can benefit from it as well. And I'm sure that those phone calls keep on coming in. Brad, we want to do something else now, right?
And sometimes it's the afterthought of what can happen because of the technology. So
Sure.
we put up PTZ cameras. We did the Bird Dog A200s outside, so they're all weatherized and weatherproofed. And at softball, we have one in center field, and the coach came to us and said, it'd be great if we could record that camera. So in the past, where you're expecting hard drives and memory sticks and having to have somebody there to hit record every day, and if you don't have the staff to do that, that becomes a little bit more challenging. Well, because of NDI, we were able to download NDI Studio Monitor on her computer. So now she sees every NDI source that's on their network. She can pick what camera angle she wants to record at what time, selects it from the drop down list and hits record, and now they have a record of their practice. So not only for live broadcast, but now it's becoming a coaching tool. So more tools the coaches have, the better the program gets, and success throughout, just for one basic video production controller.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the big advantages that has come up over and over again is that NDI technology gives you this pathway of making the video sources and even viewing those video sources completely democratic, where you can pull them up anywhere from anything that's on that network, right?
And it's becoming a lot easier to do it because
Yep.
people are now utilizing the education that they had through grade school of how to run a computer more so than needing to be a broadcast engineer, because video has been intimidating, I think, for a lot of people in the past, as has network IT. And I think NDI has kind of blended those two together to make it much more user friendly, which once we get a goal as to how to achieve it, then we can kind of backtrack the steps and try to simplify it for everybody so that it kind of becomes a foolproof system.
We are going to be joined on our show tomorrow with Laurent at Netgear, talking about the Netgear AV switches and some of the underlying technology that they've put into it from that network operation point of view, and how they've optimized their switches for these AV environments. So that definitely plays into a lot of the stuff that you're talking about, Brad.
I try to say that I'm a video guy first and that I'm not a computer guy. And
Okay.
I think with companies like Netgear that they have all of the foolproof system in place when you plug into those switches, is that it's going to plug in and it's going to work. And I
Right.
think that's one of the challenges that has evolved in the development of NDI, is that in the very beginning, it was difficult to understand how it was supposed to work. So it just wasn't plug and play in the beginning. You had to have this criteria for this switch and make it work. And as time has gone and more development has been released, I think it's more user friendly to really be a plug and play technology that it wasn't in the beginning. So I do think, just as more companies have gotten involved and have used the technology, that everybody's had has kind of been a good player in the sandbox, so to speak, to
Yeah.
help everybody out along the way. And now it is a lot of the plug and play technology.
Absolutely. This is the fifth year that we've hosted NDI November, and the sheer number of partners that are involved in NDI products and NDI technology has grown so much over those last 5 years. And it's a perfect segue to talk about kind of where NDI is going in the future. As a system integrator that is using the NDI technology to bring into your customers and clients all over the world, what are some of the things that you're looking forward to?
I think the direction that it's going is it's becoming the industry standard. I think more and more camera manufacturers, I think more and more clip players, I think more and more video production 101 wants to utilize to make sure that it has an NDI output. And as long as you're getting it to the network, okay, now let's pick the flavor of NDI that you want it to be. And I think from the beginning, I think there was a very grand vision as to how NDI was supposed to function. And I think there was some pushback in that because it wasn't a coax cable or it wasn't a fiber cable of how it was going to work. Was it going to be accepted by the technology? I think when you go to a show like NAB, that some of that technology takes 4 or 5 years in order to kind of be industry tested and industry accepted. I think NDI kind of had that feel in the beginning that, oh, this is only a new tech platform. And then all of a sudden, okay, you saw more and more. You saw the Sonys, you saw the Panasonics, you saw the JVC starting to get into it. And then it was, okay, now this is a feature that every camera has to have. This is a feature that every piece of technology has to have. And thankfully, companies like Netgear have come to the table and said, okay, we want to do the hard work for you. You purchase our product, you'll plug it in, and we know that it works.
Absolutely. Change is a scary thing. And, sometimes there's early adopters that say, all right, I'm going to go in and see how it is, and I'm going to go along for the ride. But then you do see some of these broadcast level cameras integrating that technology into the AV switches that we talked about, into the production systems. And it's not just production systems made by VizRT. Of course, they've always led the pack because they've developed the technology, but just about every production system supports NDI technology as well. And I think I agree with you, Brad. I think we're going to see it become more and more synonymous throughout not just the sports production, AV events, and live production stuff. We're actually going to see it implemented in some broadcast workflows as well. And I think you're going to see a lot of that stuff coming in the future.
And with remote productions, I mean, ESPN's doing a lot of things out of Bristol for their entire basketball season. I mean, it's going to evolve, and it's more cloud-based. And the more that's in the cloud, the more you're going to need a computer to do it in some way. I think NDI is kind of spearheading that train to make sure everything is computer savvy, for lack of a better term.
Absolutely. I mean, we're getting to the point where you're going to be able to dial up an NDI video source the same way you dial up a web URL and browse the internet. It's going to become that ubiquitous. Brad, thank you so much for joining us for another NDI November. Thank you for all the great work you're doing with 1210 Production Company. If anyone would like to learn more about 1210 Production Company and some of the things that Brad can do to help you out with your next production workflow, you can go to 1210productioncompany.com or give them a call at 610-374-2081. Brad, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You as well.